My story is not super uncommon. I was a child of divorce. My parents divorced when I
Mm,
was 4. They were childhood sweethearts, but it just didn't work out. And it was not amicable. It was a very
mm,
not good divorce, which created not great energy between the two and a lot of
mm,
confusion for a child of that age. They also both then ended up in other relationships where those other partners were going through their own things. Uh,
mm,
at the time, just manifested as creating a really toxic and abusive household. And
mm,
so for the younger part of me, I really grew up not trusting the adults that were in my life. I grew up feeling very helpless, like they were making decisions like where we're going to live, who's going to be allowed in our home. Um,
mm,
they label you as all parents do in ways
mm,
that they think they're either being funny or they think they're being supportive, but ends up creating identities for us of who we believe we are and how we're supposed to show up when we
mm,
receive love. Is based on if I'm outspoken, if I act confident, whether I am or not, I would get a lot of praise for that. So I grew up with this persona that I was an aggressive person that got what they wanted and was outspoken, rude, but that was good. She was a powerful young girl, right? Standing up for what she wanted. But ultimately, it was just me really trying to find some sort of autonomy in a world where, as a child, you don't get to make any of the important decisions in your life. And you're
mm.
kind of along for the ride. So the moment that I became a teenager, as many teenagers do, we take whatever little power we can get and we abuse it, which ends up hurting ourselves. So I made a lot of terrible decisions as a teenager. Pretty much everything a parent would hate for their child to be into, I did. I was using drugs. I was selling drugs. Tattoos. I got tattoos at 15, homemade. I was living with my boyfriend. Started falling behind in school and actually went to an alternative school, so I wasn't going to graduate on time. Um, Doing criminal activity, all kinds of.
Mm, mm,
That was my way of feeling like they may not be good decisions, but they're my decisions.
mm.
And of course, there's a certain sense of satisfaction you get when your parents are now the ones feeling helpless. Uh,
Mm,
and so that I think is a fairly common trajectory. The difference is some of us pull ourselves out of that and some of us don't.
mm.
Some of us just takes longer. Some of us make huge strides and others don't. And
Yeah.
that's really where, as you get older, I think you can only have those types of reflections once you get older and
Yeah.
those things become less triggering for us and emotionally, fueled, that we can look objectively and go, wow, what happened there? What could have
Mm,
happened differently? And then how
yeah.
do I relate that to how things move going forward? So for my story, and why identity is so powerful to me, you can look at identity as mindset, which is a really big topic these days that
Yeah.
people talk about all the time, right? But essentially, identity is how are you showing up in the world? So one is an external component. Reactivity is the biggest indicator. Like if someone cuts you off in traffic, if somebody says something that you don't like, are you the
Mm,
the shy person who takes it? Are you the aggressive person that tells them where to go? Do you try to retaliate by being mean? What is that reactivity? Because it's when your guard is down that kind of who you are comes out, or the insecurities that you have start to show. The other is when you're on your own, what do you say to yourself? What are you
mm,
talking and saying in your head internally? How do you feel when you're by yourself? Are you a happy person when you're by yourself? Are you lonely? Do you feel like something is missing? Are you angry at the world? What is that internal dialogue? And
mm,
that, I believe, is what really forms your identity, because those are the things that essentially creates the lens with which you are viewing your world. And when we're kids, we just don't have a lot of perspective. Any
mm,
identity we've been given, so much of how I viewed others or my strategies for feeling good about myself were the same strategies that my mom had or my
mm.
dad had. And they were not healthy. They'd be things
No.
like, backhanded compliments, pulling people down so that you feel better about yourself. Um,
Yeah.
those were all things that I used to do. Now, the big shift, though, that I've reflected on, and the thing that I'm so grateful for, I used to say, I don't know why all of a sudden I changed literally overnight from that destructive teenager into a capable, successful human in life that can contribute meaningfully to society.